Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Catherine Temple. I'm a senior lab informatics consultant here at CSols. My academic background is genetics and organic chemistry, but I very quickly, as a college student, got into pharmaceutical QC and R&D, and moved from grad school into another manufacturing environment, focusing on process improvement, lean, Six Sigma, logistics, chemical handling, safety and health, and eventually got into laboratory informatics and project management, which brought me to CSols. And over the past 6 years, I've done a lot of ELN and LIMS vendor selections, and focus a lot on process optimization, strategic planning, and then of course digital transformations, which is what we're going to talk about today. So let's start with what is a digital, well, first let's go over the agenda. So we're going to start with answering that question, what is a digital transformation, and then talk specifically about how that manifests in the laboratory. I don't have a specific example. I do at the end. If I've got time, I'll go over that example in greater detail. How does that impact the lab? And then some common pitfalls and barriers that other research firms have seen and that we've seen, and then get you started on those first steps. What do we need to get going? How do we gather the right information and the right people? So let's define digital transformation. To sum it up, DT, digital transformation, is reimagining business in this digital age. So the process of using digital technologies to create new or modify existing, which we'll talk quite a bit about, business processes, culture, customer experience, and to meet changing business and market requirements. So big emphasis here on customer experience. I'll speak a lot to that, about how that applies specifically to lab internal and external customers. But the point is to transform your operations and your offerings so you're producing something customers want, as opposed to your competitors' products or services, something they can get easily, which is where a big part of where the digital part comes in, and that your employees want to deliver, and that they have a good experience delivering, which is another important piece of the digital part of the transformation. So who's doing these kind of things? A recent study says that about 75% of companies, I think medium to large size companies, are either investigating or currently have some sort of digital transformation underway. So the chances are really high that management can come to you and say, hey, we're going to do this digital transformation. We want to improve our laboratory operations. The lab is a cost center. We need to cut costs. We need to adapt to this new environment. And we're going to start this transformation initiative. So how are companies doing that? Changing from old paradigms and rethinking existing operating models. This might mean moving from an on-premise physical server or even a virtual machine to cloud-based or software as a service applications, becoming more agile to respond to customers and competitors, going to a totally new platform. So as a very general example, I bank with a credit union, and the back end of their system is still AS400. Therefore, because of that older platform, they've had a really difficult time rolling out an iPhone application. Now, if it was a bank that charged super high service fees and there was any other downside, I would have left that credit union a long time ago. I stay because it's a credit union, it's got great rates, and I'm willing to put up with that, but they have seen an exodus of other members just because they haven't kept up with the app and the website that's mobile compatible. They have unfortunately spent a bunch of money on real estate and physical capital, and are a good example of going backwards. They're not being agile. We don't want to bank in we don't want to bank in a physical building anymore, especially in light of COVID. We want to have everything online, and so that's the kind of transformation that we're looking at. It's completely rethinking models and platforms. And as I mentioned earlier, we want to have good processes, not only so we can keep customers like me and not have a backend that's AS400, but so that the employees can have good experiences. So the employees have, so you've not lost all of your knowledge base internally, all of your resources, because everybody who knows AS400 maybe is retired. So the way we want to do this specifically in the lab is think about the tools that we have, potential solutions, and how we can fit those together.